Hi, Layton. I am here to check in with you for 5-1 quiz. So you only got one right. So I want to go through the ones you got wrong and give you a chance to fix your answers. I'm going to explain each one and have you give me the new right answer, and then I will use that when I check your quiz. So let's look at the first question. It says there are 7 ushers and 11 technicians helping at the Harper Middle School fall play. What is the ratio of technicians to all helpers? So there's 2 things important here. Number 1, we have 7 ushers and 11 technicians, and those are all the helpers that are at this play. The question asks about the ratio of technicians to all helpers. So locate the number of technicians, and then you have to figure out how many helpers there are all together before you do your ratio. Okay, let's look at the second one. For every 3 packages that Marcella wraps, she uses half a roll of wrapping paper. If she uses 2.5 rolls of wrapping paper, how many packages has she wrapped? So we are going to write a ratio. We're going to start with that she uses 3 packages, wraps 3 packages with half a roll. We know that she has 2.5 rolls of wrapping paper, and we're trying to figure out how many packages she'd wrap. I need you to pick up your calculator and do 2.5 divided by 1/2. Another way to do that on your calculator is 2.5 divided by 0.5. Once you figure that out, you'll know what you multiplied 1/2 by to get 2.5, and you multiply by 3 up here to get your answer. Number 3, Anya's team won 5 out of every 7 games this season. If the team played 28 games this season, how many games did they win? So we know that they won 5 and they played 7. So if they played 28, that's the total. We want to know how many she won. So we go 7 times what gives me 28. Once you know what that answer is, you multiply 5 times the same number, and that tells you how many games that Anya played. Okay, number 5. It's going to take a couple different steps for this one. A novelty store sells 8 comic books for every 3 action figures. That's our first ratio. We know that we have 8 comic books for every 3 action figures. I'm going to put a C and an A. On Monday, they sold 32 comic books. We're keeping our comic books at the top. On Tuesday, they sold 18 action figures. So if you look here, this is Monday and this is Tuesday. This initial right here is just their ratio of comic books to action figures. So we're missing 2 values here. We're missing this value and this value. And even once we get those, that's not what the question asks. Let's figure out what these missing are before we go back and look at the question. If I have to go from 8 to 32, what do I multiply by? Right, you multiply by 4. So now if I take 3 times 4, that gives me 12. Okay, it doesn't matter for comic books for this one, so we don't have to worry about this one. We can go back and look at the question. What is the difference between the number of action figures sold on Monday and Tuesday? You had 18 sold on Tuesday and 12 sold on Monday, and I want to know the difference.